Tim Hasselbeck, as he joins us now here on SportsCenter. When you take a look at the league, right, who do you think are the teams that are under the most pressure heading into the 2019 season?
Well, let's stay in Jacksonville, El. Can we do that? Can we stay in Jacksonville? Look, you just look at what happened last year. Obviously, their offense underperformed, but really it was about their defense. That team was supposed to be carried by this defense that was going to create turnovers, going to be able to stop the run, and then, on the offensive side of the ball, they're going to run the football with Leonard Fournette. That wasn't the case. So now you bring in Nick Foles, try to kind of give that offensive jump start. Clearly, I think the expectations are high in Jacksonville, and you would expect them to do well. Pittsburgh Steelers would be another team. There's been a lot of talent that has walked out of the door, between Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. And so now, big shoes to fill for guys like James Conner and Juju Smith-Schuster. Now, they're good. There's no doubt about it. But I think when you look at, Ben Roethlisberger and kind of to talk about his leadership, certainly those guys playing well with that talent that's left the building no longer there is important. And then how about the Chargers?
Okay.
Listen, Eli Manning's won a Super Bowl. Ben Roethlisberger's won a Super Bowl. Phillip Rivers has not. And now he's played well enough to win a Super Bowl, but it's a pretty good football team that Anthony Lynn has. And, they've got a good offensive line. They've got a good running game. The defense certainly loaded with talent. And so I think when you look at them defensively, the expectations to win one while you have Phillip Rivers playing at a really high level is important.
Seems like they finally put it all together, and then, here comes Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Pretty much.
And now all of a sudden 12 wins isn't even enough to win your division. Tim Hasselbeck joining us here to break down the NFL offseason. In terms of pressure via Vegas, here is, in fact, what Caesars Sportsbook says about a little bit of the pressure that is facing some of these teams. Pittsburgh, LA this season, especially when you consider each team's odds to win the American Conference. According to Caesars Sportsbook, both teams have 10-1 odds entering the season to do just that. Of note, though, each team's division rival, Cleveland and KC, we just mentioned among the teams with shorter odds to take the conference.
The story of the Mets, manager Mickey Callaway, and another word starting with M, took a weirder twist just now. The Mets, as an organization, apologized to sports writer Tim Healy of Newsday, who got sworn at by and ordered ejected from the clubhouse by their manager and physically threatened by pitcher Jason Vargas yesterday in Chicago. The writer's crime, he said to manager Mickey Callaway, apparently in all sincerity and no snark, quote, "See you tomorrow." This is tomorrow. The Mets fined both the manager and the pitcher today, sent the manager out to publicly apologize to the writer himself, and he didn't, at least not on the first try. Callaway has since readdressed the media and apologized, but this was take one.
Hey, I'm a passionate guy about baseball, and I'm a tough competitor. And sometimes you'll see it with the umpires, sometimes you'll see it with the players. And the thing is you guys don't need to see it directed towards you guys. That's you guys have a job to do. I understand that. I've always understood that. And you guys don't need it directed at you.
I think everybody's aware of the situation that happened yesterday. I think it's unfortunate for all parties, and an unfortunate distraction. But tonight we got the Phillies to play. The team's addressed the situation. The organization's made a statement. And, that's really all there is to it. So thanks for taking your time, and we'll see you guys after the game.
Drive home safely. On that note, welcome to the Chevrolet Clubhouse. Carl Ravitch is at the College World Series in Omaha, but we understand word of the Mickey Mouse thing with the New York Mets has reached there. Ravi, I know Mickey Callaway. I like him, and I think they've set him up as a scapegoat for this season. But is there more of a backstory here about this? Because it seems like it's an extraordinarily difficult situation about nothing.
Well, the apology was a bad job. I mean, there was no real apology. I think Mickey is incredibly frustrated by what's gone on with the Mets. I think the firing of the pitching coach had to do a lot with Mickey and the analytics, and perhaps a group of pitchers who want to abide by them, and maybe a group of pitchers that doesn't want to abide by them. So there's just a lot going on. The idea that all of a sudden the Braves are pulling away in that division. And look, I spoke with a couple of officials with both the Mets and the Phillies who are beginning a series tonight. Mm-hmm. One of the things that the Mets are in right now is, are we going to try to see what happens over the next 12 games when we deal with the likes of the Yankees and we deal with the likes of the Phillies and we're dealing with the likes of the Braves? We're either going to move some pieces to try to get better this season, or we're going to move some pieces to get better for next season. And nobody thought that's what this was going to be about this season.
Well, I did, but we'll leave that for another discussion.
Someone within the organization.
There you go, exactly. The 82-year-old pitching coach, by the way, I love to mention this, as a rookie pitched against Ted Williams and not in an old-timers game, just to give you some perspective. As you mentioned, the Mets are in Philly tonight. The Phillies have lost 7 straight. And speaking of managerial problems, Gabe Kapler first went kaboom on the umps Saturday, and we'll listen to this now on the writers on Sunday.
We win as a team, we lose as a team. We don't single anybody out. It's not how baseball's played. It's not about one person in isolation. It's not about one staff member in isolation. It's not about one player in isolation. We do this as a group, as a unit. When we win, we celebrate the guys who did really good work. When we lose, we go back to work on the guys that need some help. And we don't quit on anybody, ever.
Carl, as we watch the meltdown from Saturday with the umps, is Gabe Kapler in trouble? I mean, we don't get umpire fights anymore. Instead of the game tonight, could we just have Kapler and Mickey Callaway swear at each other and wrestle at second base for 10 minutes, maybe?
It'd be a great arm wrestling match. I mean, seriously, they're both bicepped out, but that's beside the point. The point about these two teams is I don't think either one of these managers, Keith, during the middle of the season is going anywhere. I think the Mets are in a little different position with regards to what they believe this season could bring them. The Philadelphia Phillies, to Gabe's point, and it's echoed throughout, we're not pointing the finger at one person. We lost McCutchen, but we have not gotten really good, strong performances from Segura, from Real Muto. Nola and Arrieta are giving up a ton of home runs. They also look at the last 2 weeks, and they'll tell you we've seen a lot of balls drop in that we assume will not once this season continues. They also have a brutal stretch coming up where all of a sudden the Marlins are a good team. They got to deal with the Dodgers. They got to deal with the NL East. Neither one of those managers are going anywhere, and this is a big telling 2 weeks for both teams.
Carl Ravitch calling the College World Series Finals for us right after SportsCenter. Of course, Carl and I have never witnessed any reporters arguing with any management in any workplace. See you later.
See ya.
Chevrolet Clubhouse is brought to you by